This is where we're going to get heated. Angry, BookCon sucked.
None of it was smooth.
I was panicked. I was like, did I just waste $120?
And the vendors would have been happy because they probably would have made money because there was a lot of hungry girls there.
You sold the tickets. What do you mean demand outpaced the projections? You knew exactly how many tickets you sold. And then after you sold the initial wave, you dropped more.
Because Christina Lauren does not deserve to be in the basement. They deserve to be up freaking top. Welcome back to Booktalks Podcast. This is Kayla.
And Marissa.
And this episode, we are getting into our BookCon 2026 recap. So to preface, Marissa attended both days. I unfortunately was unable to get a ticket for Saturday, so I've only attended Sunday, which kind of goes almost in our recap because getting a ticket was, to begin with, like the whole I say the whole BookCon process was very stressful. From like getting a ticket to getting a reservation to attending. Like, none of it was smooth, I think, for either of us. Maybe you getting a ticket was easy, but for me, it was like fighting for my life.
Right. And I think we both agreed we want to preface this video in a certain light because we've seen a lot of negativity online about BookCon. And Kayla and I actually sat in what were we eating? Noodles? What was that?
It was like ramen.
Yeah, we sat together in a ramen shop and we tried to brainstorm. Okay, if we had been putting on BookCon, how would it have gone? Like, what would we have done differently? What's the perfect BookCon? And we couldn't agree between the two of us on a perfect BookCon. So, like, just to preface, we understand that ReadPop, which is the group that put this on, had a very challenging position to please everyone attending, both attendees like us, readers, the authors presenting, the small businesses, the big publishers, right? It's a challenging situation to be in. So we don't want to approach it as like, angry, BookCon sucked, even though like deep down, maybe there's a little bit of that feeling. We kind of want to approach it with our experience, maybe what could be improved upon for next year, maybe give you listening an idea of what to expect if you go next year, just because this was our first ever BookCon, but from the interactions we had with other people who went before COVID, this BookCon differed greatly from those previous experiences. And so I think it is worth talking about.
I agree. And it's not like, I mean, we have never attended a convention for fun, but we have attended several corporate conventions. And much as
those weren't fun,
the excitement wasn't there, but they were large scale corporate events. So we have that experience. And I guess I did attend BookFest a while back, which it was like the first one I also didn't know what I was signing up for, and I kind of just showed up and they just like handed me a bunch of books and I was like, oh, this is great. And now I actually was just on YouTube and there was like film clip from BookFest and it was like a madhouse, and I'm like, that's what happens when people post about things on social media, like they just blow up. So I feel like that's what happened with BookCon. Like since they've last had BookCon in 2019 to now, books have gotten, I mean, they were always popular, but they really blew up. And there's so many more people on social media talking about books, ourselves included. So like BookCon was like everywhere and everyone wanted to go. And also when they say it's going to be at the Javits Center, everyone's like, I could definitely go. I have not gone to Comic-Con, but from just reading about it online, it didn't seem like Comic-Con sells out like immediately, like within an hour. I can give actually less than an hour that I couldn't get a ticket for Saturday.
So I was going to say, going back to your original kind of question to me about how the ticket process went, I did log on right away. I got put in the queue, but I got through the queue, I think somewhat quickly. I want to say within 20, maybe 30 minutes tops. Like I don't feel like I sat there for hours and hours and hours. I got through, let's say within 20 minutes. I was able to get my ticket. I didn't know I could have just bought a ticket for Kayla or else I would have just gotten her ticket too. So I was able to get the weekend ticket, which this will kind of get into, I think, a little bit about kind of the marketing around it. When I bought my weekend ticket, so for Saturday and Sunday, BookCon was saying, ReadPop, the group putting it on, was saying, if you're going on Saturday, you are guaranteed to go to the fantasy ball Saturday night. Like your ticket guarantees you access. And then when it was all said and done, that ended up not being true. They ended up adding the disclaimer, as capacity allows. And they started adding all these extra events to try to steer people away from the fantasy ball because they realized they would not be able to accommodate the amount of people they had sold tickets to. Like, just kind of going back to the very beginning, already we see some disorganization. We see some incorrect promises. And maybe Reed Pop didn't view those as promises. But as someone buying a Saturday ticket, I was like, we're for sure going to the fantasy ball. And then Kayla didn't get a Saturday ticket. So I was like, well, I'm for sure not going to the fantasy ball, not alone.
I know. And I do. So the other events they put on instead of the fantasy ball, one being the murder mystery that actually looked a lot of fun. So, I mean, maybe it was good. It led to other solutions. But, like they definitely would say things and then they take it back.
Yeah. No, agreed. But then you logged on because you were in a meeting. You logged on, like an hour after tickets went live and they were sold out.
Not even. I was like 20 minutes into the meeting and I was like on my phone and then I couldn't get in. And then I finally got in, I think maybe an hour after, like I was on the queue and at that point only like Sundays were available and I just snagged it because I'm like, I'd rather go for one day instead of no days.
Right.
But yeah, that was set. And then they resold tickets again.
So I was going to bring that up because when I was at BookCon on Saturday, I met the sister of Booked by Aya at Booked by Aya. Her sister's not a bookstagrammer, but I met Anella. She was so nice, but she was frustrated because BookCon had originally said, oh, this is the only ticket drop. If you didn't get a ticket, so sorry, you're, better luck next year. So she kind of panicked. She talked to her husband and her husband was like, girl, just buy the VIP ticket from someone else. So she went on the official resale site, which was allowed, that BookCon had said was allowed to be used. She bought the VIP ticket. And then a few weeks later, they opened up more general admission tickets. And so again, it was like this miscommunication of information that led people to kind of panic buy more expensive tickets. And maybe she would have gotten general admission or maybe not. But having talked to someone's like getting their firsthand experience about that frustration, like I didn't experience that personally, but I can see how that miscommunication of information really caused some panic and the frenzy that was BookCon.
Well, for the resale, I got online 2 hours before and I still was unable to buy a Saturday ticket. So I don't really think anyone really lucked out with that. Maybe like 100 people. So I wouldn't say like gamble that. I thought no resale was allowed. Like
Allegedly, because I talked to some people at BookCon, I talked to someone else in my first panel. She said there was one site that was the official resale site. You had to post specific screenshots of the ticket and you could only sell it for face value. You couldn't mark it up. But that was being monitored by BookCon. Again, this is alleged. I cannot verify any of this. This is just word of mouth what I heard at BookCon. But I'm trusting the book girlies. I don't think they would have lied to me on this.
no, I just wish I would have known.
I didn't know there was an official resale platform either because that was the thing. Kayla was going to try and get a Saturday ticket, but it was so sketchy because the app wasn't released and you had to trust a stranger.
No, it was super sketchy. Like I would see people on Reddit or Instagram, they're like, you would DM them and you like send them money and then you can transfer the ticket once the app is out. And it was like, this person can literally delete their account and just take my money. I mean, it wasn't that much money. It was like $60, but still, I wasn't like really jumping at the bit to like just pay a stranger. And I had a very calm, lovely Saturday. So I was fine with not going both days. It was funny because at first Marissa went and she like had such a high and she'll get into that. And I had like a little bit of FOMO and then she kept on messaging me throughout the day. And then my FOMO became relief that I wasn't there.
Yeah. I don't want to get into my day one yet because we haven't talked about the process of reservation sales. But I will say like my first two panels, amazing, fantastic. I was texting Kayla, I can't wait for you to come. And then once I went to the vendor booth area, I was like, okay, I can't, I want to go home. So we'll get to that. But yeah, so ticket sales, that was ticket sales. And then they did the reservations sale, reservation, whatever. I mean, you didn't have to pay for it, but that I did not know that there was even gonna be a reservation system until they announced it. And all of a sudden you had to get reservations or else you couldn't do anything cool. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it was also really misleading what had reservations and what didn't have reservations. I just feel like and also my emails just like never went through. So Marissa had to forward me everything, which was also bizarre. Like maybe because I only had a Sunday ticket, like I didn't warrant an email, but I was like in the dark.
I did. Anytime a BookCon email came in, I would try to forward it to you, but mine were going to spam, so I'm sure I deleted a few of them. But I was like, I'll just forward this to Kayla, make sure she saw. But no, the reservation system really threw me for a loop. Like you said, again, just kind of miscommunication because I swear, and I talked to other people who experienced the same thing where we were under the impression that if you were able to get into a panel, you didn't have to separately get a signing package, the reservation for the signing package. And me and Kayla's only experience with wanting a signing was for Christina Lauren, which didn't require a reservation. So maybe that was different. But overall, like my understanding was if you got the panel, you don't need to also use a reservation spot to get the signing reservation. That if you're in the panel, you'll be able to get the signing. That ended up not being the case at BookCon. And Kayla and I experienced this with Christina Lauren. You had to choose to either see your authors speak or go stand in line for over an hour to try to meet them and get a signature, one or the other.
Yeah. No, the signing part and the panel I feel like we'll get into more of the day of. It was like going to the reservation. So me and Marissa, we called each other. We were both like, I was at work. Like this was in the middle of a work day.
Yeah.
I think you were working from home, but you had had a
Mhm.
doctor's appointment. Like we have full-time jobs. And I'm like in a conference room talking to Marissa on my like supposed to be working, and we're like waiting online for over an hour to get in queue to get a reservation, and neither of us could get a single reservation. Like
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Once again, and this is where I almost feel like because you had a Sunday only ticket, they put you further down in the queue because you and I clicked in at the exact same time. But randomly, I got in very quickly. I mean, not like super quickly. Again, it might have been like after 20 minutes or something. I can't remember. But you stayed in it. I think you left it open and just stayed in it for hours, like just to see. But
I was just
oh, go ahead.
over it at
Sorry.
that point. No, I know I cut you off, but I was like, I was just over it.
Yeah. So when I got in, I finally got through the queue. I was like so excited. I'm like, all right, here we go. It pops up. It says, my schedule's empty. And I'm like, all right, great. How do I add reservations? And then I was like, where is it? I'm like taking pictures, trying to figure it out. Come to find out, there were no reservations available to be added. So that was, I'm going to say this. It was disappointing in part because of the communication around it. As it turns out, you didn't need a reservation to do a lot of cool stuff because I went and saw two panels. I went to three panels on Saturday and we did two panels or three panels on
No, we
Sunday.
did 3 panels.
Yeah. None of those required reservations. And I got to see Holly Black speak. I got to see Alexi Harrow speak, Olivia Blake speak. These are some pretty big name authors, not to mention Christina Lauren. So, those ones didn't require reservations. But in the moment of getting those reservations, the communication around it, there wasn't any communication. And so I was relying on all these Instagram comments of people being like, what the heck? I didn't get a reservation. So why am I even going? Like, there's nothing to do. What's the point of going? And I was panicked. I was like, did I just waste $120 plus my flights to get to New York? And like, I'm going to go in and not actually be able to do anything. And that wasn't the case, thankfully. But I think I think BookCon maybe should have pushed out a little information earlier about what all required reservations and what all you'd be able to just do.
Yes. And I think people who made reservations were able to make a lot of them. Like
Yes.
VIPs made a bunch. Even people who could get in, there were 3. I think they should have guaranteed at least like 1 reservation per ticket, like per day. Like at least one where you could secure one thing. If it's a signing, if it's like a panel, like you were able to secure one thing. I think that would make a difference there. And I understand like just they didn't have the capacity in the VIP panels, but like make more like, I don't know. I'm sure that big stage, there's more room for big panels. I mean, it's hard not to get into it, but like there were authors that they put in the basement that could have been main main stage panels. And then I would have, like, I'm glad we didn't have to sign up for ahead of time because we got to see them. But, like, there were such big authors that they could have put at the main stage to then have so many multiple main stage panels to let everyone have one.
Yeah, and that was the thing, VIPs, and again, they paid like $400 or $500 for their tickets, so absolutely, they deserve to, get reservations, but they were allowed to secure like 20 reservations each, which meant there were no reservations left over for general admission, and once again, I talked to other people there, at the time it was happening, I was reading comments online. There had been this general understanding that BookCon was setting aside some reservations specifically for general admission so that, most likely VIP is going to get 80% of them, but we're going to set some aside so that when it opens up to general admission, there will be some left over. And that wasn't the case. And BookCon actually admitted that wasn't the case after the fact when people started calling them out on it. I'll see if I still have the screenshots and we can put it in if I do. Otherwise, you'll just have to trust me.
Bruh.
Which I don't know if you want to do that. No, BookCon had made a statement on one of the comments like, no, we didn't actually set any aside. This was just like, general admission will get their shot at it. So that was kind of disappointing. And again, VIP paid $500. Of course they're going to get reservations, but do they really need 20 each? Like, as far as then leaving some, like you said, so everyone could maybe just have one to be guaranteed to get to meet that one author or see that one author, that would have been something they could have done and hopefully will do differently in the future.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into your day one. And
Day
then
one.
I feel like I have strong opinions about day two, but let's get into your day one thoughts.
Yeah. So day one, start off. Let's insert pictures of the line. There was a really great horror film style video that went around Instagram that was hysterical. It had horror music on and it was like BookCon or the Book Girls or something like that. I can't remember what it said. The line to get in was crazy. We did not care about free books or getting to the publishers first or anything like that. So we didn't have any plans to even get there by 10 a.m. when the doors opened. We got there, I think, a little before 11 is when you dropped me off, maybe?
Our train got in at 10:38. So yeah, very close to 11. Yeah, no, we didn't really care about the arcs. I had no idea, I think the night before me and Marissa were like, oh, there's arc drops. And we took a screenshot and we did no research. We watched some YouTube videos and this one girl was like, I looked into every indie author there and I pre-ordered. Me and Marissa walked in, no preparation. We were just there for vibes.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't care about the arc drop. As much as I know a lot of people were angry because they didn't get any books. We are fortunate enough that we do get a lot of arcs just having this podcast to review. So we weren't there for that process. We were just there to enjoy book content and to not be mobbed by crowds.
Yeah. So I guess just pulling up, like I said, at 10:30, 10:40, seeing a line wrapped all the way around the Javits Center and back down the side. I was like, what is going on? They've been open for 45 minutes. And it was funny because before we got on the train, Kayla was showing me some videos of people standing outside and these crazy lines. And I was like, are we doing something wrong? Are we not bookish enough for this? Are we supposed to be there? I honestly think it was just for people to run to the publishers to try and get those arcs. I think there might have been arcs dropping right away. I don't know for sure. Or just people wanting to get in right away. But it had very much a Black Friday shopping feel. And since we were going for vibes, that made me super nervous when Kayla dropped me off and was like, go have fun. I was like, I will try.
I think the Javits Center itself takes up 3 blocks. It is really large. For it to wrap around that large, it was crazy. Yeah, when I dropped Marissa off, I was like, have fun. I'm glad I'm not you.
Yeah. I actually got in really fast, though. It worked out really well. I got in line. It took me literally 15 minutes probably to even walk to the end of the line. And by the time I got there, I pulled out my phone. It was 10:56, I'm pretty sure is what I recorded. I was like, I'm going to record how long I'm in this line. And then we moved up one block, and at 38th Street, they went ahead and said, screw it. And they opened up some extra doors and funneled our line through. So I literally got in within like 8 minutes, which was crazy because the line suggested I was going to be there for an hour. But it worked out. It worked out is all I'm saying. And I got in. I was disappointed that security did not check my bag because that made me a little nervous. I was hoping they were going to do bag checks, but that's okay. I got in. I just immediately went up to the fourth floor because there was a panel at 11. And I was like, let me see if I can get in. Like, who knows? Maybe there'll be standby lines and I won't be able to. I walked right in. It was dark fantasy, I think, and it had Holly Black and Marie Lu. And I know both those names in the fantasy world. And I was like, I just walked right in, like, no reservation, no standby line. Okay, this is awesome. So that's when I was texting Kayla, like, wow, this is so cool. Like, hearing these authors speak, it's inspiring me to want to write. And right after that, I went to my second panel, and that one was hysterical. I was cracking up. It was Olivia Blake, Alex E. Harrow, and a girl named Alexis Henderson. And I didn't know her, but the three of them were so funny. Their books all sounded interesting. I was cracking up the whole time. So I get out of panel number 2. I'm texting Kayla. I kind of feel bad because I'm like, I'm probably making her jealous, but I'm like, this is amazing. Like, getting to hear these authors speak. It's inspiring. It's like you learn about their process. You learn about their books. You get to meet other people who are so excited, like so excited about some of these books. And they'll be like, oh, well, I'm here for Holly Black. And then the other one's like, oh, well, I'm here for Marie Lu. And then, you get to talk about it. And that was fun. That was fun. Then I went to floor 3 and that was not fun. For those of you who don't know, floor 3 was where they housed all the big publishers and small business vendors. Like the TikTok shop was there, BookCon shops was there, but then like a bunch of other people were there, including Kayla and I are going to post a vlog about some of the bookstores we visited in New York City, but we talked to someone at Love and Legends bookstore, and she said she was there. I never saw her booth. Do you know why? Because the ARC drops were creating a mad frenzy mob situation with lines covering the small booths or the small business vendors. Like, you couldn't walk up to any vendors. You couldn't hardly move between the crowds. Like, it was so jam-packed. People were pushing, people were shoving. People were a little angry because they were being told, yes, there's a line for ARCs. And then someone else would say, no, you just walk up and grab them. And no one knew what was going on. And that was not a good situation. And I think you experienced that on day 2 as well, a little bit.
Yeah, it was not as bad as you described, but it was not like I was hoping for like a little browsing shopping session. Because I wanted cute little bookish trinkets. Maybe I would buy a special edition if I saw one that I really liked. I couldn't. I didn't buy anything at BookCon except food because I was starving, and there wasn't much food either.
That was the other thing the Love and Legends cashier told us was that, they closed down their bookshop for part of the day, both days, to be at BookCon. They're there at BookCon, crammed in between publishers. They can't even get to the limited food options that were there. So they were hungry all day. Kayla and I, we did get some empanadas or something.
The only thing we could find was empanadas. There was like a bunch of lemonade and like chips, but we were like, were so hungry. It's such a long day. I mean, we got there on Sunday. We were there from 11 to like 5, but we just needed something. We did see online, like people said, bring snacks, and maybe we should have packed a sandwich or something.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we were underprepared. I did bring an apple, but we were so hungry. We were just trying to survive. We're like, we just have one more panel to go to. Like, let's just eat something. And fortunately, we found empanadas. But I heard that also. I saw that online. Like, even vendors couldn't get food. The food limit was so small. If they were to come back, there's so many people. They could have had so many vendors come, and the vendors would have been happy because they would have made money because There was a lot of hungry girls there and boys.
Lot of hungry girls and boys. I was going to say, didn't they release the numbers that like 27,000 people attended BookCon? Wasn't it 27,000?
I didn't see the numbers.
Okay.
But it sounds like it.
If I'm getting that wrong, I'll correct it on the screen. But for listeners, I'm sorry if it's the wrong number. But 27,000 was the number I think I saw. And the food options literally were like enough to feed 30 people. Like they were so limited. I'm like, it's the Javits Center. Why don't you have like actual food here? Food big enough to feed people. There was, I guess, a food hall in the basement, but it looked like a salad bar. And I don't know, I wasn't feeling a salad bar at a BookCon event. You know, like I'm hungry. We're battling crowds. We're like going to panels. Like I want something that's going to fill me up. And like you said, maybe it's our own fault. We weren't super prepared. We went for the vibe. So I don't want to blame Reed Pop too much, but just think happy people love to spend money and being hungry makes you angry. Like feed us, give us options.
There also wasn't like where the Java Center is, there are food selections, but they're a little bit of a walk. Like it's about like a 15-minute walk. 50 like by the time you get out there to walk out, to eat, to order, to get food, to come back, there's not enough time between panels. Like we had about an hour to kill between a panel. We were starving, but we did not have enough time to leave the Java Center, get food, and come back. Like we had to make that choice, being like, if we want to see this panel, we have to eat whatever we find. Yeah, I think they would benefit by selling more food or having more food vendors like there. I don't know if the Java Center like serves food. I've had a holiday party at the Java Center, actually, like right where they had like BookCon. I think right where the panels were was like where my holiday party was. The food wasn't exceptional, but they had food. They had like little finger foods and stuff like that. I'd even take like tacos. I'd take anything actually at that point. Yeah. I think I had a bag of chips and I was like, maybe I'll just survive off of this.
Yeah, no, I agree. They were selling alcohol, which I thought was kind of a weird choice considering your crowd size. I'm thinking, okay, this kind of feels like maybe a recipe for disaster, but you know, like I love a good cocktail too. I wanted to keep my wits about me with the 27,000 people around. So I wasn't an alcohol consumer. I would have loved more coffee options just to keep me awake. But again, that was kind of limited.
Even if they put more food instead of a bar.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was, I don't want to like hate on it too much. I'm just saying food would have done a lot for both the vendors and the attendees. I did go to the fourth floor. What was it called? The Grove. The Grove was cool, but once again, crowded. The tarot card reading, I couldn't get in on. Every time I went, the line was capped. That's where they had a bar. They had like a trinket trading station that we couldn't even get up to. We were trying to pass out our BookTalks podcast bracelets, and I just kind of had to like throw them on the trinket station because like I couldn't get up to it. So, you know, it's just, again, crowd size. It was a lot, and it's surprising because when I think of book girlies, I think they're like me and probably a little introverted. So I think, you know, like if you are introverted and have social anxiety, it was overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. And the panels for me were the highlight. The last panel I went to on Saturday was from These Forking Fangirls, that podcast duo. They put on a panel, and it was a lot of energy after a long day at BookCon because it didn't start till 6 p.m. and they came with all the energy, which good for them. I don't know how they did it because I was tired at that point. They were very funny. But the funniest part, Kayla, I didn't even tell you this. I was waiting. I've been sitting on this story waiting to share it. The funniest part. So These Forking Fangirls were doing bookish hot takes. And so they were taking some from their audience online, and then also people in the actual live audience could go up to the microphone. And I don't think it was any of the audience members that gave this hot take. I think it might have been one of the Forking Fangirls who said it, although I don't remember who now. But one of them said, to be honest, I'm not a fan of PETA from the Hunger Games. And not only did everyone boo, people physically got up and walked out.
Get out. My God.
It was literally, Christine's face was like, are you serious right now? Like, are you actually leaving? Is it that controversial? And it was funny because I think it may have just been coincidental and timed with some people needing to leave or go for bathroom breaks because one girl, she was leaving. She's like, I'm just going to the bathroom. And they were like, oh, thank goodness. But the timing was hysterical. So that was, again, like a fun panel that made that made BookCon fun. But I will say having it that late in the day, whew, that, that was a long day. So for anyone who got there to stand in line at like 7 a.m. and then stayed through the fantasy ball at whatever time it ended, props to you. I need bed. So like I couldn't do it, but props to you. You are the real book girlies.
Me and Marissa are still recovering. Like, we are so tired. And it's been like days after. And I'm like, wow, we're just old.
We're not even that old, but we're accountants. You know, we sit for our jobs and we have our schedules and our bedtimes. And so also just like the social energy of interacting with people, even if you're not interacting with people, but just the energy of being around them, it can drain you. And I think you and I just really by the end of the night, I mean, I'm still recovering, I'm exhausted. I had fun. I had more fun though with you on day 2.
Yes. So we got there at 11. And I do regret I do regret us not going immediately to a panel. And instead we walked the 3rd floor thinking, oh, it's early. Everyone's in a panel. Let's just see if we can go shopping. And again, it was very chaotic. I mean, we got some cute photos. We walked around Indie Alley too, but even Indie Alley was really crowded. I wish we would have just went to a panel at that point because it wasn't really productive.
Mm-mm.
And it really was very stressful.
Yeah, I was gonna shout out whoever I bought my crystals from if I can find the receipt from them because, like, I'd like to shout out, I'd like to shout out the small vendors I went to. Let me see really quickly. Oh, well, it's not here. All right, so I can't shout out the small business. If I find it, I'll put it on the screen. But I did buy these super cute crystal. What are these? Flowers. Like, what am I holding here? Flowers from a really cute crystal shop. And they were down in the basement. I bought those on Saturday. But when we were there, and when I did that on Saturday, it was like at 5 p.m. So people were clearing out. When you and I went, we were there on Sunday at 11 a.m. Very crowded. You couldn't walk up to booths once again. I mean, we walked up to that one to see earrings, but then you actually kind of got overwhelmed because people started moving in and you kind of felt trapped and you couldn't get out. And so we just left because, again, the crowds were just big. And like, this was when panels were going on. And you're thinking, oh, well, aren't people in panels? Like, maybe everyone had the same idea we did, but I kind of doubt it. I just think it was one of those situations where there were more people there than space available. And that really, I mean, that was kind of a huge drawback to BookCon that I hope they fix next year. I told Kayla their response was really upsetting to me. They gave a quote to USA Today Entertainment, and it said that some of the paraphrasing here at the beginning, some of the problem, but then they said some of the problem was demand outpacing our projections. And I told Kayla, you sold the tickets. What do you mean demand outpaced the projections? You knew exactly how many tickets you sold. And then after you sold the initial wave, you dropped more. So I feel like that is not a valid answer to the problem. And they really need to take some time to think about it.
Yeah. No, it was a lot. I think they needed to really spread things out, especially, and you said it on the 3rd floor. You had the idea of putting the big publishers in their own room.
Mm-hmm.
Just to like clear up the floor because there just wasn't enough room to walk. And I think if they just spread things out, it would be a little better. I unfortunately saw online on Thread that like a couple small businesses had things stolen from them, which is really awful. And again, like angry people do angry things. Not that I'm validating it, but like I think angry vibes all around. But I don't think that would have happened if they were just spread out and it wasn't so chaotic. Like in each shop, I can easily see things getting stolen because there was like you were crowded in. Like there was just so much chaos going on. Like how do you watch everything?
I definitely could have put things in my purse. No one would have noticed because there were too many people. There weren't lines for viewing stuff or even I mean there were some lines for checking out, but I'm just like the vendor stuff was right there. You could walk past and swipe it and no one would know. The crowds were too big. You could just disappear. So I absolutely think that probably was a problem. And separate rooms for the big publishers who are doing the ARC drops would have gone a long way. And I think you even suggested putting the big publishers like on different floors, like really spacing them out so that you kind of have to choose which ARC drops you're going to go try and get because once again, it's just like when they're all right there in the center, which is how it was set up on the third floor, literally Macmillan on top of Penguin, on top of One Source Books, on top of whoever, they were all right there. At that point, even the lines weren't clear about what you were waiting for. And so it just became this mob to get up there and no one knew what was going on. So I think spreading them out. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. I was just saying,
Yeah.
no.
Um, I do want to get to Christina Lauren though, and kind of jumping into
Oof.
the other I wrote down another thing about having more diversity at BookCon other than
Yeah.
fantasy, but this is going to kind of stem from our Christina Lauren discussion as well as our Sunday panel discussions where we had a thriller person sitting on a romantasy panel and BK Borison sat on a fantasy panel. It's like, all right, what's going on? So let's get into Christina Lauren.
So our whole goal for Sunday was to see Christina Lauren, and their panel was in the middle of the day. So we actually planned our previous panel right next door so we can hop right online because we wanted to see them so bad. Both of these panels were in the basement. Why is anything in the basement? It was like this dark room. There was no energy. The platform was not lifted. There was not lights. Even the camera, like they had this giant screen. The screen showed nothing. Show them. I was so mad because Christina Lauren does not deserve to be in the basement. They deserve to be up freaking top. And there are so many romance girlies in there. Like, yes, fantasy is so big, but I will say the romance genre is like what people buy. Like people, the romance girlies are the biggest girlies, like biggest book girls of them all. And they should have had more romance authors and they should have put Christina Lauren on an actual romance panel on the main stage.
So this is where we're going to get heated. We wanted to come at this like kind of neutral, like this was our experience, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to Christina Lauren, we are angry on their behalf and honestly angry on anyone's behalf who got stuck in the basement because I don't know who else was down there as far as like throughout Saturday and the rest of Sunday. But Christina Lauren is not a basement author. They have sold over 30 books. They have one that's in production, post-production with Netflix for a TV show or limited series, I think, or maybe a movie. I can't remember.
A movie, Christmas movie.
Okay, Christmas movie. Oh yeah, it's got like Maddie Ziegler and other kind of big names. Rob Lowe, I think. So they're not nobodies. And the fact that they were put in a windowless basement room with these giant round tables that only seated like 6 people. And we have videos of the line. The line for Christina Lauren was insane. Some people said they waited over an hour to see them. Like the line was so long. And I hope everyone got in. But if they didn't, they easily could have if they'd gotten rid of the circular tables and actually lined up chairs the way it was on the 4th floor, or literally put them on the 4th floor on a raised platform where everyone could see them. Because Kayla and I literally couldn't even see them because they were not raised up. Like she said, there's a big screen next to them with nothing. Why aren't you showing them on the screen the way you do on the 4th floor with the other panels? It did not make any sense. And I know fantasy is huge right now. Like, we love fantasy. This is not an attack on fantasy, but romance, honestly, is that genre that has been there from the beginning and will be there once all the trends and fads go away. Because love is like a human emotion that drives us. Like, romance is that thing that everyone falls back on. Every author we've talked to has said, I read romance growing up. Like, it's just what you do. And so the fact that they're the only romance only panel that I know of was the Heated Rivalry one, which was on the main stage, which wasn't even a romance panel. It's specific to a book. Then they had maybe like a cozy book panel that they had some romance people on, but I again don't know that it was romance specific. I'm just like, there
No,
are
I heard that was too fantasy focused. I think that was the BK Borison one, and I heard there was also fantasy authors, and they discussed more fantasy based.
yeah.
Like and also like I go to so many events in the city of romance authors. I just went to Abby Jimenez's event. It was a packed house in like a whole stadium. They had to go all the way uptown for it. Packed house because we love romance. People love romance. Give the romance readers what they want. I was really mad about that. And then also with the signing, like we had assumed if we went to the Christina Lauren event, we can get the Christina Lauren signing because it was back to back and it said post panel signing.
Yes.
We found out when we got there from the girls next to us, you can't get there in time. You have to literally book it from the signing to the autograph lines. And
Even if you do, you don't get it, but go ahead.
And people, don't go to the panel at all to wait on that line. Or people were actually walking up, getting up in the middle of them speaking about their writing and leaving to get on their line. Like, and it was so rude. And like, especially this room was kind of empty because of all these giant tables. So it was so noticeable people leaving. And I just felt like it felt rude, but I also get it. Like they wanted a signature. Like you brought books from Arizona to get signed.
I brought books from Arizona. I lugged them into the city because once again, and I was not the only person who was under this impression. I talked to many, many girls at BookCon who were under the same impression that a post-panel signing was included if you went to the panel. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Why wouldn't they just do the signing right there in the room? There's a 15-minute break between the panel and the signing. So like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be happening there. They'd form the line, whatever. It wasn't. I brought books in. I was so excited to meet Christina Lauren. We've been big fans of them since we started the podcast. We've gotten an arc from them. Like we love them. And to learn that basically you must choose either to see your author speak or go have your 5 seconds with them and get a book signed. That's just not fair to people who really love these authors. I should not have to choose between hearing them talk and getting to briefly meet them. And then on top of it, to have people turn around and sell signed copies of books because they got to meet them, or to turn around and sell the arcs they got for like $500. It's like, just what's the point? Like, why were some of you there? I'm not blaming everyone. I think most people were there with really good intentions, but it's always just those few that ruin it for the rest. And I just makes me so sad how many people desperately wanted to hear their favorite authors speak, desperately wanted to just have those 5 seconds with them and couldn't do both. They had to choose one or the other.
No, it was upsetting. So I was talking to Tom, and he's playing devil's advocate, and he's like,
Okay.
"Well, it can't be in the same room because what if there's a panel the next hour?" So I said, "Okay, whoever attends the panel gets a ticket, and then when that panel is over, they all are able to go see them with that ticket, and then any extra time goes to people who didn't attend the panel." That was my
Agreed.
solution.
I completely agree with that. I think a ticket solution would have been good actually for a lot of different things. My mom suggested on the ARC drops that honestly, it probably should have just been a lottery system where if you win the lottery, you get a ticket and get to go take it up and redeem it for the ARC, just to help prevent mass pandemonium of like, oh, I've got to go get in line. Or once again, I saw a lot of content creators who sent like their mom to go stand in line for ARCs while they went to a panel, which if you have a mom to take who's willing to do that, wow, props to you. My mom was not flying to New York to stand in line with me, okay? Like, I just wasn't going to happen. But no, I mean, you had to do that though. But if you're standing in line for an ARC, it means you're literally missing a panel. So again, I think a ticket lottery, or maybe not lottery, I don't know how it would have worked. I'm just saying some kind of ticket system for a lot of these things could be a solution. Or you know what? I'm even fine with rewarding the people who got there at 7 a.m. Give the first people in line the ticket. They got up and did the work. Again, Kayla and I did not care about getting the free books. I mean, if we'd gotten one, of course we would have been so happy. But like, we weren't going there for that. So I just think, if people were getting up at 7 a.m. or standing in line, sure, reward them with the ARC. That's great. But no, I mean, like you said, I think The people who went to the panel should have gotten a ticket to get their book signed, to meet their author. It's just sad to me because, like, BookCon really, it had so much potential. And I hope in the future it will live up to that potential. I just know for us, it didn't this time. There were a lot of issues, and it's disappointing to spend money to go hope to meet that one author. Literally, the one author we're excited to meet is Christina Lauren, and we weren't able to do that. And that didn't ruin our whole weekend. Like, we're fine. We survived. Like, it's all good. It's just a disappointing reality of how it was structured.
Yeah, like we made friends. We did hear really awesome authors. We learned about new authors. We had fun. We just had higher expectations, even though we literally went in for vibes. But yeah, those are our, like, I think, ways to improve. And yeah, just more, like, there were thriller authors there, and maybe we missed it, but like, put more thriller panels on there. Put more romance only panels on there. They're like, so many readers are so diverse. They read so many different genres and they want that. Like, I feel like every panel was like somehow catered to fantasy. Like, I remember reading out titles to Marissa and they literally sounded the same. I'm like, do you want to go into the world of romantasy, or do you want to go into high fantasy, dark academia? Like,
Yeah.
it was like so similar.
And I will say, having gone to as many panels as I did, they did become extremely repetitive because they were all fantasy. I was going to mention too, we mentioned how BK Borison was on a panel that ended up really being fantasy, and BK Borison's a romance author. We went to, it was called The High Stakes of Romantasy, or Romantasy High Stakes World, or something like that. And they had a thriller author on the panel.
I forget what that one was called. I don't know if it was romantasy, but it was like high stakes in, yeah, it was like
I
fantasy,
screenshotted it.
horror. It was like, and they throw in horror everywhere. It was,
Yeah. Let me just tell you guys, horror and thriller are not the same genre. So the fact that BookCon had a panel of horror thriller, I was like, I'm sorry, but those are just two completely different categories. Have your horror, but have your thriller separate, because I don't like horror. It scares me. Yeah, just more diversity. Just have more than fantasy, or if it's going to be just fantasy, market it as a fantasy BookCon. That way, we know we're being served fantasy. You know, authors kept talking about this actually as far as how books are labeled today, and how if you call something enemies to lovers and then it's really just we don't like each other for 2 pages and now we're in love, that's not enemies to lovers, right? If you order a steak, you want a steak. I ordered tickets to BookCon, which was marketed as all your favorite authors across all your favorite genres. You'll get to meet them. You'll get to interact with them. You'll get to go to all these amazing panels. And that's not what I was delivered entirely. It was partially delivered, just not entirely. And I think that's where the disappointment comes in.
yeah,
Oh,
I agree.
and we've never been to BookCon before, but other people's disappointment came in from having gone to previous BookCons that were done differently and, in their opinion, better. So I know a lot of people's disappointment also comes from their past experience with it. For us, this was our first experience, so we can only speak to that. But I do think this one was not done well compared to its predecessors.
And I think also, like, in the past, I'm pretty sure they had the whole Javits Center, where this was very much just on the side. And I've been to the Javits Center where they've had the whole thing, like the New York City Marathon is at the Javits Center, like the expo. It's huge. Like, it's really large. So we don't know if I'll go back next year. We are tax accountants, and it actually falls on 4/10 next year. And this year was a stretch as enough because we filed taxes 4/15, and like Marissa had to fly out the next day. So we
Yeah.
were already stressed. There's just, I don't know if we could do 4/10, but we'll make an exception if they need us on to moderate a panel. We will make the exception. We will be there. Actually, my office is like 2 blocks over, so I can
know.
like pop and moderate and then go back to work. But as participants, just I don't think next year's in the cards for us. But we hope in the future it gets pushed back a little later and we get to go again, and hopefully they can make those adjustments that we hope for.
Yeah. I hope they're listening to all the feedback. I know it's been overwhelmingly negative, and as someone who's been on the other side of negative feedback before, I know how that feels. And feels right now like they're getting a little defensive as opposed to listening and really absorbing it and coming up with solutions. So I hope as more distance comes from now till the next one, they will listen because readers are so passionate about our books and our authors, and we just want a chance to interact with them and experience it. And BookCon is that opportunity. And so, like, they have an opportunity to make us so happy. And so, we're gonna, like, readers are gonna keep going back, even though this year was not so great. So, I really hope they listen to the feedback and improve upon it because it can be an amazing experience if done a little differently.
Also, one more thing, I think they should make a big quiet room with a bunch of chairs because there's a lot of people sitting along the walls who just needed quiet. And I think it would just be calming to be in a room full of introverts, calming
So,
down.
they technically had a quiet room. I couldn't find it on day one. It was apparently in the basement because I saw it when we were standing in line for Christina Lauren, but it was
It was
small.
super small, and
It
they
was
should
super
put it on
small.
the fourth floor where the chaos was, or the third floor where the chaos is.
Yes,
It
I
was super
agree.
small. I had like 4 tables or 3 tables.
I actually ended up for my quiet time on Saturday sitting by the bathrooms on the fourth floor by a wall charger. I plugged in my phone. People were going in and out of the bathrooms, and like I just sat with my head down and played on my phone and just decompressed because there wasn't a good quiet space other than near the bathrooms on the fourth floor because everywhere else was so crowded. And truthfully, that quiet room in the basement, there's no way it was quiet. It was near all the indie alley and all the people selling things, and it was loud. So they need a dedicated, actual quiet space, much larger for people to escape to. That is a really good point, Kayla.
I think at that point, on that note, we probably should wrap it up because we said we would be quick and it's 52 minutes.
We had a lot to say, but I think it was all good. I think we kept it light. Like, we weren't too negative. I hope people, don't sometimes when we're negative online, people kind of hate on us. So I'm hoping like people understand like we care about this and this was our experience and we just hope it gets better. And Kayla, sorry, you can take it away.
No, thank you for listening. This is Kayla.
And Marissa.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at BookTalks Podcast and hit subscribe and have a good night.